Good afternoon to all the team at Forever Publishing. It's author and journalist Kate Thompson here to tell you a little more about the Secret Society of Librarians. In October 2022, I had a life-changing encounter. I met a 95-year-old Holocaust survivor in London and agreed to help write her life story before it was too late. Rini Salt is a survivor of 2 ghettos and 3 concentration camps. For 6 years, she stared into the abyss of almost unimaginable darkness. With the exception of her 2 aunts, her entire family were murdered by the Nazis and their collaborators. Rini doesn't remember her experiences of the Lodz ghetto, Auschwitz, Birkenau, and Bergen-Belsen, but she relives them through a series of vivid flashbacks. The tangle of human bodies, the smoking crematoria chimney stacks, and the sealed cattle carts are all still there, sort of imprinted behind her eyelids. I vowed to help her piece together her shattered past. Whilst I was in Lodz in Poland researching Rini's 2-year incarceration, I learnt that there were secret libraries in the ghetto. Prisoners set up clandestine lending libraries and loaned out books which they stored in hidden rooms. Some 30,000 dusty books, from age-old heirlooms to holy books, were rescued and lovingly preserved and catalogued. Shelves reaching up to the ceiling were filled with books that had been handed down for generations, forming a unique but precarious ghetto library. I couldn't shake this library from my mind, and I knew that when I'd finished Rini's book, which was an instant Toronto Star and Globe and Mail bestseller, Do Not Cry When I Die, which came out in the States and Canada in January 2025, I would return to that library, if only in my imagination. Aren't human beings remarkable? Even in a ghetto that was ruthlessly isolated from the outside world, the fact that prisoners managed to establish a cultural life and hold on to their intellectual freedom proves to me that reading is an act of resistance. The novel began to take shape in my mind, and I wanted to share a picture of 2 very different libraries, one operating under a Nazi occupation and the other in bomb-battered Britain. When I discovered the true story of London's only travelling library in a library archive, where else, set up in the Blitz to deliver books to the bombed, I was spellbound. Can you imagine how it must have felt to see this huge library bus bumping up London's cratered streets, for women and children sleeping underground and in Anderson shelters to be able to pop out and borrow a book that essentially pressed pause on life and drowned out the sound of the bombs must have been nothing short of magic. What if the 2 libraries were somehow connected? And the answer came to me after interviewing for my podcast the intriguingly named the Society of Secret Library Friends. They are a small grassroots group formed in Idaho in the United States to offer solidarity and support between librarians in the States. I interviewed 2 of their members and I was deeply shocked by what they told me. They described a growing climate of fear, censorship, and power in the United States that's led to books like Anne Frank's diary being removed from their shelves. Some library workers told me they'd even be dubbed as evil and predatory simply for stocking sex education books in their libraries. They talked to the new wave of censorship and how librarians have become scapegoats for political agenda. I mean, I'm sure that this is nothing new to you in the States, but I was very shocked to hear of that here in the UK. And it occurred to me that suddenly the censorship of books during the Second World War doesn't seem all that remote. My conversation with the Society of Secret Library Friends left me feeling inspired. It struck me how very much we all need defenders of the book, aka publishers, librarians, and booksellers in our life. And thus my Secret Society of Librarians was born. The narrative focuses on 2 of the friends in the society. We have Dorothy taking increasing risks in her clandestine ghetto library to deliver books to prisoners right under the noses of the Nazis. And 1,000 miles away in London, we have Joyce delivering books in her mobile library through the danger and chaos of the Blitz. And so through alternating chapters, we see 2 very different perspectives of war and realise how far these courageous librarians will go to bring escape and magic of reading in history's darkest hour. Readers of the Little Wartime Library and the Wartime Book Club will, I hope, be pleased to recognise 2 more members of the Secret Society, Clara Button and Grace Lamotte, who both make cameo appearances, meaning that the Secret Society is, I hope, the perfect final act in the trilogy of my wartime librarian books. As the war reaches its bloody conclusion, the libraries, like the women's lives, are in peril. What will happen when the Nazis liquidate the Lodge ghetto and Dorothy is ordered to board a cattle wagon destined for Auschwitz-Birkenau? And in London, how will Joyce save her mobile library when authorities demand the keys back and order its closure? The story arc is dramatic, deeply emotional, and at times painful to read, as you would expect from a narrative set partly during the Holocaust. But there are moments of hope and redemption that remind us how remarkable human beings can be when pushed to the edge. Be amazed at the communities, the real story of communities living cheek by jowl in the bowels of London Underground. Marvel at a library cat with seemingly magic powers. Take part in secret Passover ceremonies in the ghetto. And be uplifted by the underground book clubs and even a tube station newspaper with its own Lonely Hearts column to help wartime shelterers find love underground. After 2 years of assiduous research, which has seen me travel to archives and museums and memorials and the sites of former ghettos and concentration camps and libraries across Europe, in addition to the interviewing of over 100 librarians, Holocaust survivors, and of course our wartime generation, the book, well, a draft of it is finished. I'm immensely proud of it. I hope it bears witness to the courage of those long forgotten ghetto and Blitz librarians, as well as reminding us how much richer we all are for reading. Now, you know I love an article at the back of the book. I hope it's become something of my trademark. And in this novel, readers can expect an extra 20 pages of material. Discover the ancient library I had to turn sideways and breathe in to visit. The incredible story behind the empty graves I visited in an abandoned graveyard in Poland that play a pivotal role in the book, and as always, meet the redoubtable wartime women I met as research. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. I really look forward to connecting with you further over this book and working with you more, and hopefully getting the book into as many readers' hands as possible. Thank you so much. Bye.